Greetings, world. This is Takamaru, and I'm coming at you today with another deaf term. Today's deaf term is the Gaijin Interview. The Gaijin Interview. Okay, so let me share my screen very quickly for you. Okay, and this is coming from the book 21st Century Japan Decoded, coming out sooner than later. Okay, I'm reading the Gaijin Interview. Where are you from? Whether in Japanese or English, this is always, without exception, the first question, followed by inquiries concerning the reason you came to Japan and the length of your stay. By this point, if you're nice enough to still be participating in what has now become a full-length interrogation, it may then proceed on to more private details about your age, marital status, and even probe the types of girls/guys you're attracted to. For example, do you like Japanese girls? Before ending at the finale, can you use chopsticks? And/or can you eat natto? And this is something I've noticed, that it's never do people ask you, do you eat natto? Okay, let me get out of here. So for those that don't know, natto is a fermented, I guess, bean paste that's very popular in Japan. It's kind of gooey. So I don't know. I'm not even going to say most Westerners or most non-Japanese people don't like it, but Japanese have that impression. Okay. And also with the chopsticks, you know, people don't know that a long time ago, the ability to use chopsticks was seen as something only civilized people could do. This is what Japanese people thought. So this still permeates into our generation now, or this generation, when people ask that question. Now, if you ask Japanese people, like young people especially, they might not be consciously aware of it, but notice how many times they ask you. And also, just like the language, no matter how good or bad you are at using chopsticks, they're always going to say you're good, right? But they're very, very amused at watching you trying to use chopsticks. Okay, go back. So this Gaijin Interview, I call it the Gaijin Interview. This is something that Japanese are programmed to do with foreigners. And a lot of people are probably sitting here thinking, well, what's so strange about asking someone you don't know, or someone that you can clearly see is from a different country, where they're from? And I would say nothing, given the right context. Okay. However, what makes this, what separates this from being, or what makes this an issue, is the fact that every single Japanese person does it. And it's not, again, and if it were just, where are you from, so that you could establish some kind of perspective, you know, on how you're going to speak to this person, yeah, I think there's nothing all that strange about it. But it's never just one question. It's always a series of questions. And if you rewind what I just read from the book, you'll see that in most cases, that is the exact order that is followed. This, to me, as again a former mental health specialist, this suggests it's a program. This is something that each Japanese person is programmed to do. So in other words, they get tapped on the shoulder and they turn around and a Japanese person is introducing you to them. They're like, oh, they shift into this program. Okay. Oh, where are you from? Why did you come to Japan? How long are you going to be here? Do you like natto? That's the end, right? That's the end. There's a couple more questions in between that. And in the third, fourth, fifth questions, they fluctuate, or they're different. They might be a little bit different person to person. Okay. Again, it's strange. And I think it adds a strain to people who are not Japanese. If you're just here for a month, a year, 2 years, 3 years, you might not even notice this. But after you're here for 10 or over 5 years, and every time you meet someone, you have to be subjected to this interview, it becomes tiring. And I don't think that you should feel subjected or you should feel obligated to have to go through it. I'm not talking about being rude. I'm not talking about ignoring people or being rude or discourteous or anything like that. I'm talking about protecting your mental health. So you can go home and you can deal with your children or deal with whatever you have to do outside of the workplace and be in a positive frame of mind. Okay. I always bring up this woman, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. Please check out her book, The ISIS Papers, talks about race relations. And I saw her in an interview one time, and she said that a white woman, an associate of hers, she's asked her the question, if as a white person who's not racist, what can I do to help you to push forward the cause? Kind of sounds like that question on the Malcolm X, the famous Malcolm X question, right? But Dr. Frances Cress Welsing told the woman, what you could do to most help us is to tell us what white people talk about when we're not around. So in other words, you tell it, put us D, to the information that we're not privy to. Okay. I want to make this clear. That's one of the main things that I'm trying to do as a person who is both Black and Japanese, especially as a child. But not even that. Even now, when I talk to Japanese people, I'm pretty sure they talk about things to me that they might not talk about to other people. Well, if you're not having the conversation in Japanese, number one, they're already going to be kind of, in the foreigner mode. Okay. But in order for that to happen, they have to relax. And I challenge them with this kind of stuff all the time. How can you test the guy if the Gaijin interview is actually some sort of mental health issue? You can test it in a couple ways. But the best way, the easiest way, I think, is to just make them go off of their flow chart. Because as you know, any program, anybody who has who's taken computer programming, you have to write out flow charts of how the program is going to flow. This is a flow chart. This is a program. So when they ask you, where are you from? If you don't answer the question, again, there's many ways to not answer the question without being rude or without being just totally dismissive. Watch what happens. They don't know where to go. Right there, the conversation ends. It's difficult for them to even continue dealing with you. Okay, so that kind of flows into, if you're trying to avoid it, there's a way to avoid it right there. The second way I say in the book to avoid this, if again, there's times when you want to be friendly at a party, whatever. But I mean, you're at your job, you're just buying something at the convenience store, and you have to be subjected to this by either the cashier or some random person that just strolls up on you. You know what I'm saying? You got things to do. I got to go, man. I don't got time to do this with you. And then, and the thing about it was, and I heard a Japanese person even said this to me, is that they'll ask you all these questions. And then if you see them 15 minutes later, they don't even remember what you told them. And they ask you again and act like you're going to actually answer the questions all over again. But another way to bypass this is to put yourself in the role of the senpai. So in other words, when the questions come, if you have to do an interview, okay, well, I'm going to be the senpai, and I shifted around. Where are you from? Oh, yeah, where are you from? Yeah. Why did you come to Toyota? Why did you come to Nagoya? Why did you come to Tokyo? And then they get taken back, and then they'll try to end the conversation. However, I will add this on closing. This Gaijin interview, once you learn how to get through it without feeling raped, for me, I've learned that this is my segue into being able to introduce concepts or topics that they probably don't know about, and actually, I guess, steer the conversation to where I want it to go. So I'm not 100%, giving the Gaijin interview a thumbs down. Again, I'm just trying to make you consciously aware of what is happening to you all the time, and you might not be aware. And then later on, when you're at home and you feel frustrated and you don't know why, I'm trying to give you hints as to why it might be occurring. Remember the suicide rate. There's a lot of mental health issues in Japan. We don't want you to become a victim. Okay. My name is Tak Amaru, Real Talk, Afro-Asiatic. You know what it is. Get at me, takwanaamaru@gmail.com. I'm out. Peace.